And this is, again, kind of like what we're always trying to do. That's what you're always trying to do with it. Okay. So essentially trying to fill the gaps, some easy wins, some low hanging fruits, but you're also still trying to improve on what they're really good at and making their strengths super strengths, because that can also create a gap from their weaknesses as well. So I think an athlete never wants to feel like they're in maintenance mode. They always want to feel like they're trying to improve on something. And again, profiling can be an easy way to just find that gap for them, create something very simple where it might be a limitation in ability to pogo or something as simple as that. And you're literally then adding a little bit into their gym program. And then maybe in a couple of weeks, you have a testing profile again, and you're just monitoring that as you go. And then you're seeing how then they're acting back outside, and are they feeling that change? Then you're like moving up the scale, maybe more into like a movement assessment and things like that. But the first thing would be trying to find out where their strengths and weaknesses are. Now, this is something you probably all do, that you don't realize that you're doing it. Maybe at times, some people will, but essentially it's a feedback loop. And the regulator is you, okay? And an input might be as simple as, I want you to jump as high as you can. They go through that process, and then you'll see the output at the end. And then you might ask them to jump, I want you to jump as quick as you can. And you're gonna then constantly see a different output, depending on maybe a coaching cue that you give, something as simple as that. And when you're coaching, whether it be, again, in profiling, in the gym, out on the pitch, that is something that is constantly, you might not realize it's happening, but you're probably doing it all the time. I think this is really good and clear, and it really has guided me personally around my profiling and connecting the dots for myself. So you can take it how you want. This is how probably I would see it. What do I see? Am I happy with what I see? What am I going to change? Implement and review the change, and then kind of repeat that. So it might be, we had a client who had a 4C hamstring, and she couldn't make the jump, getting to above 80–85%. And when we did some profiling and we used like our protocol around RFD, you could see there was quite a big gap just from something as simple as that. So we kept her on feet, but we kept her under a certain, should we say, speed threshold. But we worked really hard at that over like 2 weeks until we felt like maybe the symmetry had closed up a bit. She felt much more comfortable to produce force really fast. So then again, I'm constantly going through this process. I'm not doing it necessarily consciously, like thinking in that way, but I'll definitely be just subconscious going through that. And I think that basically having that feedback loop helps me do that, essentially.